Stragglers.
Stragglers.
How dare they be late?
And we are live. Yes, the stragglers are not here yet, but we are.
We are here now.
We're just gonna give it by a few more minutes.
I'll give them some more time.
Yeah. But how are you? How have you been?
I have been better this week than previous weeks. I will say that this year has been harder for me emotionally, I guess, than last year was, even though last year was like the year of the thing and everyone was really struggling. For me, I was like, stay home all day? Yes, that sounds right. Also, Zoom conversations. Yeah. Also, you know what I mean? Like, oh, hanging out with my friends on Zoom and not in person. Now, I do like my friends, so that part was not great, but I like being home. I'm a homebody. So for me, last year staying home wasn't that bad. But this year has been more challenging, and I think it's because I really thought that we'd be done by now. I thought that this whole thing would be done by now, and it's not. And like, you know, people keep making decisions that I don't understand, and it's very frustrating. So that's the only thing. But yeah, this week was good. I'm doing stuff at work that is actually interesting. So that helps a lot. Yeah. And yeah, starting to have a bit more energy. I took a break from my podcast because I was pretty burnt out, I think. And I intended to take a week off and ended up taking 3 weeks off. Nobody noticed, but nobody noticed. So it was fine.
Necessary.
It was necessary, and I don't think anybody cared. So it was like, okay, I can allow myself to rest. All 11 people who listen to my podcast are probably okay. And and so now I feel like I have a bit more energy, and I have like new ideas for things I can do with the podcast, and that feels good. Because as tired as I was also not happy not creating. So
understandable.
Yeah.
Understandable. I can understand that. Even when I missed that one, I had to I literally said to him, I said, I can't, because it was the men's one. I was going to do and it was supposed to be a week before. And I was like, I can't open my mouth. I can't talk. This is not going to work. And I just kind of reserved myself. It's like, nope, not going to happen. I text everybody and they're like, no problem. See you next week. No problem. And I wouldn't suffer. But I mean, at times you have to do that. You have to give yourself that time.
You really do.
To
Oh, hey,
that's right, DJ. Tell them.
Why am I looking at your avatar and not your face?
Tell him.
It's always like this for about a couple minutes. Don't worry about it.
He got to warm himself up.
Yeah, you got to warm up to it.
Warm up to the screen.
This avatar, by the way, I'm going to do the plug, was drawn by my cousin.
Get out. I love it. She really love it.
Yeah, she did my avatars as well.
And I love yours too. I was like,
yeah, she's really good.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll I don't know. Hold on.
Look at you. There he is. Just like your avatar.
looking like a hologram on Star Trek. Energize. What? You have a problem with Star Trek?
What happened?
You froze for a second, so I was like,
we didn't want you to freeze, you know. Well, I mean, but you know, Star Trek is fun.
Yeah, Star Trek is a great show. It's one of my favorites. I'm more into Star Trek than Star Wars personally, but my brother is more into Star Wars, and we are still family.
And which one are
I
you
like
into?
Star Wars. I'm not. like Star Wars.
No, I like them both.
This is not a Star Wars related thing. This is just like a video game thing. But have you guys seen the latest official render of Waluigi?
No.
I don't know if you can see this. Can you see that?
Oh.
They made him so sexy. And I'm gonna turn up the light so that you can see it better. They made him so like suggestive. Like the pose is so suggestive.
Yeah, I was gonna say that looks very like, you know.
I got like a notification on my phone because I follow that topic. I can't remember what the topic is, probably Nintendo or something. And yeah, that's all everyone's talking about. They're like, say Jesus, Nintendo, what did you just do? Why did you make him so sexy?
Why did you make him so sexy? Why did you make him so sexy?
It's like his whole tongue is out and he's sticking his butt out. Everything's out. What's happening? I don't know how to, like, people are like, I don't know how to process it. I'm looking at it and I'm like, that looks fun, but that's as far as my thought process goes. But other people have other thoughts.
I just got in trouble just now because someone who's supposed to come on and we just talked yesterday. I was like, yeah, I'm sending that link right now. What did Germaine do? Didn't send the link.
Oh, Germaine.
He's like, isn't it now? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, where are you?
Here's the link. I'm like, oh man. Sorry.
Whoops.
Out here getting in trouble.
All week long, everything was my fault. Everything. Just everything.
It's like that sometimes though.
It's like,
every now and then we'll have like a bad week or a bad day.
Yeah, everything was my fault, and I took it. I said, all right, it'll be my fault for now.
It is.
We will see what happens later.
At least you can take the blame for it. You didn't pass it along.
Why? What's the purpose in that?
Some people are just so uncomfortable with being at fault that they will do that. I've had bosses like that.
Really? I mean,
I had a boss who forgot to pay us. She was the one, like, it's always been her job to put the paychecks in everybody's mailbox. And one Friday, it was the end of the month Friday. And so of course rent was due and we were all hanging around. We're teachers, right? This is not like a part-time working at a store kind of job. This is like, we're the face of their company, teaching their students, their adult learners, and it's payday. And we're all sitting around like an hour after we're supposed to have gone home, waiting for our paychecks until someone eventually says, so everyone in upper management went home early today, including your boss, because she was sick, but she was always sick. And so you're going to have to get paid on Monday. Sorry.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, this is not okay. This is not okay. I have to pay rent. Rent is due on Sunday. Fortunately, I had a good relationship with the building manager where I lived, and I was able to write the check and like post date it for Tuesday, and she was okay with that. I was like, but this is why they tell you to like save money. They tell you to have like at least 3 months worth of rent saved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not feasible for a lot of people. Certainly wasn't feasible for me at the time.
No.
But yeah, this is why, because of stuff like that. So anyway, on Monday now, she pays us and she's like, I'm really sorry, but this person was supposed to do it. And that person was supposed to do this other thing. And that person was supposed to do that other thing. So, you know, it's not my fault. Like she literally said the words, it's not my fault. And I'm like, it's literally your job to put the paychecks in the mailbox, whether you delegate it to someone else or not, because you decide to go home early because you have a migraine, like you do every day. That's still your job. So if they don't do it, you can be mad at them, but it's still your fault.
It's still your job. It's still.
Anyway.
I don't understand people like that who think that, who feel, you know, like you say, they pass the buck. They give it to somebody else to do, or they just say, you know, no, it's not me. everybody else.
Yeah, I wonder if it has something to do with like they place a lot more emphasis. Like there's like it's really bad to be wrong.
Mhm.
Like for them it feels even worse to be wrong than for other people, and so for them it's like I absolutely cannot be wrong. So I will do whatever it takes to not be wrong, even if that means lying and saying it's not my fault. I don't know.
Wow, it's like even
Other
if
people
it's
are like, I
lying
was
and saying
wrong.
it's
I'm
not my fault.
sorry. Let's move on.
Yeah, kind of. Hey, Andy.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
You
Angelique,
sound-
I just jumped in while you were talking there. And
I already took blame.
Yeah, it was because of you where we were having this conversation.
Really?
Because Germaine, she admitted, she confessed that she was like, so there's this one guy who's supposed to be here now. And I told him I would give him the link. And you know what I did? Not give him the link.
I hate that these things do happen. So it was like, I was like, oh, maybe it's not. Sometimes things don't happen. And so I was just holding tight. And I was like, maybe it is happening. Is it today? Did I get it wrong? You start to double doubt yourself. You go,
Yes.
but she said Saturday. No, maybe it was Sunday. I mean, Saturday. It's amazing.
Yeah, maybe it was next Saturday. I don't know.
Next Saturday. What's Saturday? What's it now? Is it 6 o'clock?
I feel ashamed.
Don't be. Do not be in any way whatsoever.
Breathe into it
hi.
and then let it go.
Yeah.
Feel the shame
Morning,
briefly
Daddy.
and then let it go.
No, it's still there.
Okay, then I can't help you.
Honestly, it's forgotten. Completely. It's nothing major.
Okay.
Don't worry.
I believe.
Oh, Andrew, where are you from?
Yes, I was getting ready to actually
Yay.
discuss all this since, we're just getting ourselves started. This is Zooming in
I'm just
Comfort,
talking.
where we are here to chill out, talk about those social events that we have. And these are folks from all over, talking about the US and Sweden, expats. And it's not just a point of them, us living in Sweden, we are expats from other places. As Canada,
Yeah.
Thank you.
DJs in the US, and Andy and I are here, but we are not from here. And that's the stuff we're going to get to learn soon. Angelique, of course, here. She has a podcast, the Polyglottal Stop, a language learning podcast on
You got
Spotify and all other stations. Yes, girl, I had this down pat. We also have here DJ Squid. He has his station on Twitch. He is our foremost DJ on the Discord of Kev on Stage. This is who we listen to before we see our Keep Your Distance comedy and hopefully everything else. So anytime he has a show up on Twitch, we are right there supporting and listening because he plays the coolest of stuff. And thank you, because I do. I don't listen to radio at all. Andy can attest to this. And so when I hear something, I'm like, all right, thank you. Thank you so much. And here we have, as I said, he says Andrew Collins on the paper, so, but this is Andy Collins.
Yeah.
But we call him Mr. C. Mr. C. He is
an advert.
He is the co-founder, editor, and writer of Scandinavian Soul. Scandinavian Soul is just that. He has the co-founder with Scandinavian Soul for the past, I think, at least 10, 11 years or more. Discovering soul music here in Scandinavia. It's music that we literally don't get to hear, and it's smooth, it's easy listening, and it is soulful. You wouldn't believe the volume of music that is here that just doesn't get the airplay that it should. And this man goes and finds it. You can find him on all of the social media sites, YouTube, yes, a website, the Facebook, the Instagram, the SoundCloud, and the Twitter.
Indeed, yeah.
And the Twitter. He has had, even in his 10 years, he's even has, I think, 2-3 award shows for Scandinavian Soul. And he has presented at each one of them. They've been really great in introducing Scandinavian Soul to Sweden and pretty much to all of Europe. Because like I said, this is music we've rarely ever heard of. I greet you all. I'm so glad that you all are here today.
Thank you, Germaine, for such a wonderful introduction. Blimey. I was listening to that. I was thinking, who is that? That's wonderful.
That guy sounds cool.
And he's also from the UK. That's the last thing.
Yes, and that definitely answers the question as well as where I'm from. Yeah, originally from the UK, and yeah, moved here 15 years ago. Yeah.
I lived in the UK once for a year.
Did you
when
enjoy
I was
it?
11. Pardon?
Did you enjoy it?
I think so. I was 11, and life as an 11-year-old is a series of situations that you're put in against your will, like moving with your family. But I have positive memories, but the positive memories are not necessarily connected to people. It's stuff like I discovered one of my favorite authors there while I was living there, and the music was really fun at that time, and stuff like that. Like I have memories like that were really cool. But I lived in North Yorkshire, Barrowby.
Oh, okay.
British people don't know Barrowby. When I say it, they're like, Barrowby?
Yeah.
Whoa. But it's near Selby. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I lived there for a year. DJ.
Yeah.
Squid's
I have no idea.
Like, okay, forget it.
Yeah,
Definitely country.
I was only there for a year. I got to play saxophone. That was a dream of mine at the time. I had really wanted to be a saxophone player for some reason. I don't know. I had never played it. I just was like, I want to do that. And so I went to, at the school I went to, they had a music program where you could rent your musical instrument. And so you didn't have to buy it, which was a lot less expensive. And so I was able to take saxophone lessons for about 4 months before we had to move back to Jamaica. And I was very bad at it. So that ended after 4 months, but that's okay.
Oh.
Noreen!
How you doing?
Hey! Good to see you again.
Same here. Everybody good?
I'm good.
Hi.
This here is Noreen. We've known each other. We are childhood friends. I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
You don't have to say
childhood
how long.
friends. We were this high, and now we're this high, and we're adults now. Darn it.
Yeah.
And we
Doing
were
a
listening to
dope
Angelique
thing.
talk about that she plays the saxophone. So
No.
she's
Okay.
gonna
Stop
give us
lying.
a serenade.
I can sing for you, but I can't play the saxophone. I couldn't even when I had one. I was so bad.
You're gonna sing?
It was like that was
You're
the
gonna
saxophone.
sing? Thank you.
No.
You just said
Huh?
you're gonna
What?
sing. You said,
No, Noreen,
You
what's
said you
new?
would
What have you
sing
been up to
for
lately?
me.
That's what I heard. I heard that you were
Thank
going
you.
to sing
Thank
instead
I
of
didn't say
playing
I
the
would.
saxophone.
I said I
That's what.
could. I didn't say I
Well,
would.
could you?
So now you installing the remix right now. Okay, it's all good.
No, I always said could.
But you can.
Mhm.
I
Boy,
heard
just trying
you.
to twist my words.
You had 3 videos up. I
That's
heard
true.
you.
I do on Instagram.
She's
Because
got
it
a
was
voice.
International Jazz Day recently, right?
Yes.
And I didn't know. My cousin told me, and I was like, "Oh my god, jazz is like my favorite genre growing up." And so I put up like snippets of my favorite jazz songs.
No, jazz is new to me. I don't know any. Can you give me like
You're
a snippet?
funny. You're so funny. I'm not familiar with jazz. Can you give me an example?
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, the first thing I'm going to do, actually, since all of you have these wonderful careers, since I know I went through them all and everything, but I'd just like you to discuss little pieces of them. So, Mrs. Angelique, can you please begin and tell us more about your podcast?
About my podcast, sure.
Yeah.
So as Germaine said, it's called the Polyglottal Stop, and it's a language learning podcast. So I talk about language learning, and sociolinguistics. I say from a polyglot's point of view, although going forward, I'm probably going to change that just to a language learner's point of view, because I feel like while I do identify as a polyglot, it feels like too much pressure saying that I'm a polyglot. Every episode. So I'm going to change it to a language just because I like to focus on the learning part. That's all. But yeah, so I talk about things like the most recent episode was about whether the word awful is good or bad, because awful used to be good and now it's bad. And awesome came out of awful and stuff like that. So I talk about where certain words come from. I talk about things like patois, Jamaican patois. I have an episode about that. I have an episode about African American vernacular English or Ebonics. And when I can, I bring other people on to demonstrate the language I'm talking about, because I'm Jamaican, and I was born there and I was raised there until I was 15, but I never really spoke patois myself. And so I felt like I wasn't a great representative of that. So like when I can, I bring other people on to share their stories. Germaine was on my podcast recently talking about what it's like living in a country where you don't speak the language. And I've done that too. I lived in Korea for a few years. And the podcast started last June. So I'm coming up on my 1-year anniversary, which is exciting.
Wow.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Nice.
Congratulations.
And Mr. Squid.
Yeah. So
I can't with you.
Yeah, I can. How'd you be on that DJ? Hey, Kenny, can you hear us, Ken? He disappeared.
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry, I've never used. This is my first time using Zoom, so my wife was giving me instructions. So I'm thinking some crazy faces. I'm sorry.
I'm used to the faces. I've seen them before.
Okay,
but it's all right.
Okay. Yes, I'm here. I can hear everybody. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm gonna get to you in a minute.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm gonna mute myself now.
Oh gosh. Mr. DJ Squid, please tell us about yourself and your music, please.
well, I'm just a DJ. So, but I play all types of music. It's not just hip hop, not just R&B. I play funk, disco. I even play classic rock. So my thing is to make you feel a way, nostalgic, if you will. So, and you'll feel it through the music. I take you on a journey.
This is true.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. DJ.
Oh, you're welcome.
Oh, and I even forgot to talk about Andrew's one last thing, but go ahead, Andy. You can just like skim through, like scan. Okay. Don't let me talk about flow.
Oh yeah, but that's I mean, everything that Germaine said basically summed me up perfectly. But thank you for that introduction. I was like, that is basically me. I've been working with trying to expose Scandinavian soul music, which even from the name makes it sound like it is purely soul music, but it's, as I call it, it's soulful. I'm trying to get artists that make music here who interpret their soul through music. So it can sound like American, or it can sound like folk, or it can sound a bit rocky at times. It's if there's emotional content. That's how I put it. If there's emotional content in the music, which I find so much music today doesn't have, where you connect to it, where the stories make you move, or you feel something other than just the processed music we get today, if that makes sense, for a majority of it. I collate it, write about it. I'm also a freelance graphic designer. I do that on the side, but I have to say this Scandinavian soul scene has sort of taken over my time a lot. There seems, when I started about, 2012, there was barely any songs. When I started, I was getting on MySpace and writing about 2 songs, and that was it. There was literally nothing.
MySpace?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Long time.
Yeah, exactly. When MySpace was, it's so funny how MySpace was the place to go to find new artists and things like that. And then I was looking on there to see who were the artists making soul music. Was meant to be a joint project, but the guy I was working with stopped, so I continued. And and then slowly but surely, just by the website, other artists then got inspired to make soul music as well. So basically, I've been following a lot of people come and go. This is the problem with music, is that as much as I say it's great, getting it on the radio is still the challenge. But I love it, I enjoy it, and this week I've just started to do a radio show on a UK radio station called Flow Radio. So I do a show, it's a 2-hour little show, which is quite good fun, called Beneath the Ice, and I
2-hour little show.
I know 2 hours was much longer than I remember. It was I was like, damn, I'm gonna be here a while.
I had a radio show way back in university, and it was like 15 minutes long, maybe 20, and that felt like the longest 20 minutes of the day. It was really like, whoa, I really have to fill this time. Other people are listening.
Yeah.
So kudos to you. That's really cool.
Oh, bless you. It's definitely a challenge. I've done it before, but I've forgotten how long 2 hours is, as you say. Even in the back of my mind, when I wanted to get back into it, I thought an hour podcast would be enough. It would be enough. But 2 hours is, you've got to concentrate. But music's great, so it's all good. So that's me, basically, yeah. And just in case you see a guitar and stuff behind me, do not be fooled. I'm learning. I'm nowhere near the proficiency I would love to be. I've started 2 years ago. I made that commitment, as you say, Angelique, where you say, suddenly I go, that's it. I'm going to learn an instrument. I chose the guitar. I've been doing all the apps, the online courses. I've been in lockdown with a guitar, and we have got on and I've got off. It's started well, but it's just nice to have. So that's me. That is me.
And the person who we did not get to talk about, who I'm going to talk about, the expat of expats, who's got everything all together. This man down here, I think, how long have you been here, Kenny? Like over
5 years, I think, 5 or 6. I moved here in 2013. Yes.
Okay.
So a long time, not longer than that.
No,
I think, yeah.
5 years is nothing. This man right here, he is military background, as far as I remember, also lived in New York and Miami and all over the joint. He has, I can't even say single-handedly, he and his wife, but I have seen him work like a dog. There was not, I'm not a connoisseur of Mexican food at all, so I am not the one to talk to all the time, but that is something that's a major thing in Sweden, if a lot of Americans just finding good Mexican food or something even close to it. This particular man felt the same way and said, I'm going to do something about it. And I'm gonna let you give the details, but he started out with a food truck and he called it the Good Gringo. And from the food truck, he got himself a store. And from that store, he opened up another. And then from that store, he just now, in fact, this year, you've opened up your third place.
November last year. Yeah.
Okay, he's opened up his third place in how 5 years. 5 years, yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, discuss. Go ahead. Let's hear it.
Well, I don't know. Like, my background's in hospitality. Like, I worked in hospitality management in New York for 8 years before moving to Sweden, and then when I moved here, it was partly like I love burritos, and another thing was seeing a market opportunity. Like, I know it's okay. I can do something different that's not here and just do it the way I want to do it, just straight up American, hole in the wall burritos. And the Good Gringo was formed just to kind of like, the truck was just to kind of test the market and see if Swedes would eat the food. And they did, and like Germaine said, we opened up our first brick and mortar location in 2017. So we started a truck in 2015, and then we opened up that location in 2017. And about 18 months later, we'd open up the second place, and then we opened up the third place. November of last year. And I don't know, just coming from a hospitality background, my whole thing was like, no matter. And I think one of the things that makes the good Gringo successful is, in hospitality, like you want to make people feel good, and you want to create memories. And that's if you're in fine dining, or if you're going to a hamburger place, you're going to get a hot dog, you're going to a vegetarian place, you're paying, $1 for a meal, or if you're paying a couple $100 for a meal, doesn't matter. Like the people who are working in restaurants, I think, should create good memories, because, when you celebrate with your family or your friends, you go out to eat, you go have a drink, and you remember those times. So we want to make people at the Good Gringo, we want to make people feel good, so we really lay it on. And I think that's one of the reasons we've been pretty successful. And then the other thing is just, grinding it out, hustling, and just hard work. Put your head down and keep doing what you love to do. And eventually, hopefully it works out. Knock on wood, we're doing okay. But yeah, that's about it.
3 stores in 5 years. That's all. No, I think that is a huge accomplishment, especially being here. And literally on unfamiliar territory, opening up something and just like saying, okay, I got to go for it or not. I mean, that to me is a huge thing.
It was a bit, it was a lot of luck. It's like, I don't know, like that one Jay-Z song. I think the verse was he said he didn't invent the game. He just rolled the dice trying to make some change. And seriously, like when I look at like when we first moved here, it's like, okay, they don't have burritos. I'm gonna buy this food truck, and I'm just gonna try to make it. And then a few years later, the success that we've had, it's just a lot of hard work and probably a lot more luck, because I'm not the smartest guy in the world. As you can see, I don't even know how to use Zoom properly.
But now you do.
But now I do.
Even smart people don't know stuff sometimes.
Exactly. Exactly. What is it? Grit. They say you got it. I think that's what they say. One of the most the trait that most successful people have, it's not necessarily intelligence, just grit. The people that just put their head down and don't give up and keep grinding.
Yeah. That is exactly what it is.
So are you also the cook, Kenny?
Yeah, kind of. That's the thing. Like, I don't really consider, I'm definitely not a chef. Okay. And I wouldn't disrespect like chefs, who work hours and hours in the kitchen. But I've worked in a lot of fine dining, like high-end restaurants. So when I was developing the recipes for the Good Gringo, like I was, it's kind of like Chipotle. Okay, like we don't have to have like a super complicated menu. We just have to have a menu that we can like execute more or less flawlessly, 99, 100% of the time. Because like McDonald's, like McDonald's is McDonald's, but no matter where you go in the world, like a Big Mac, it's going to taste like a Big Mac. Mm-hmm. So I talked to actual chefs and told them that I worked with over the past, decade in New York. And I said, okay, this is what I want to do. Can you guys help me develop some recipes that are pretty easy and, that you can teach to basically anyone that works for you. And that's basically how the recipes came about. And then we try to switch it up a little bit every now and then. It gives us some new special things, et cetera, et cetera. But no, I'm not a chef.
But let me tell you something. I don't understand where you get the avocados from, but I would like a portion set aside for myself.
Whatever you want them.
I am very sad when it comes to it's not good with avocado.
They are not good.
Literally,
they put
or miss.
Yeah, they don't know what they're doing.
And it's a lot of missing.
Yeah. Well, you heard when you did that interview. When you had that interview, and it was like, what do you call it, hot mic? And I thought the avocado didn't taste good. And Yeah, I'm not gonna tell that. If you want to tell it, you can tell it. But
No, you can tell. Tell him.
Someone tell. I want to know.
So Germaine was doing this series about like kind of street food in Stockholm, and she came with, it was your partner or your colleague, I forget his name. It was the Francesco, yeah. And we were at one of our locations, and they made some food for us to taste, and one of the things was chips and guacamole, and they brought the food out to the table, and we were tasting it, and everyone said, "Oh, this is really good." But for me, it was like, okay, this does not taste right. Like something's not right about this. I didn't say anything at the moment, but I went back into the restaurant to talk to the staff, and I forgot my mic. My mic was still on, and it was just, yeah, it was grandma telling you to go get a switch off the tree, and yeah. Anywho. You gotta maintain your quality.
In essence, that is what he was relaying in the mouth whooping he was giving them. He was gentle compared to most mamas.
It's just funny, like that just working in, like, when you get to a certain level of restaurants, like people who haven't worked in that environment, like you don't understand. And it's just like, for me, it's a normal, like I've worked at places where, oh God, like I have horror stories of what head chefs have done to people that work for them, and yeah, anyways, I'm not going to defend it anymore.
Wow. That was, wow.
But the guacamole is good though. No.
Yeah. It's some good avocados, man.
Some good avocados. Okay.
Yeah, but it was funny. It was funny when he walked back there, and we were like, and all of a sudden we were hearing it, and you could see him. Thing is about it, he went back there, and if we had not even heard anything, his physical body movement, you could see that, well, someone is getting verbally beat back there, because it was like, and I was like, I'm glad I'm not back there with them. They're all looking at him like, okay. And then he comes out, okay, what are we doing now? And we're looking at him like, your mic was on, man.
No, it's just, it's so hard because like that batch of guacamole, like the way I see it, it's like, okay, that batch of guacamole that we made, like at least 100 to 150 people are going to eat that.
Yeah.
And if you think, okay, you say it's 150 people, and it's like 10% of those people, maybe they go on Facebook or Yelp or Instagram, and then, that's like, I got kids, I got diapers to buy, and, baby formula, like that little things like that they sink you. It's
so true.
It's a bigger picture, but yeah, maybe I could wear the kitty gloves sometimes, the silk gloves.
That's how you keep your quality right. That's how you keep. I mean, like, especially with here, I can't say how. I can say in general, I feel that a lot of employees or staff, they need some hustle. They need to feel the hustle. They need to understand that you can't just do what's okay. You need to do what's over okay. You have to do extraordinary. You have to do above and beyond, because that's what this company, that's what it's for. You're supposed to do above and beyond, and not just, well, I can just do this and it'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have a different like work ethic, like between, I don't know, like Americans and, just in my opinion, is Americans and immigrants, at least in Sweden, like you built different, like you do what you have to do to survive, and and that's it. You just kind of shut up about it. You do your best of your ability, and it's not the same. It's not the same mentality amongst Swedes, from my experience. It's I mean, it's great, you know, it works for them, but I don't know if it's sense of entitlement or
I think
guess
it
you
has
just
something to do with the fact that it takes a certain kind of person to move to another country.
Yeah.
Versus the person who just stays where they are, which is not to say people who don't move don't have hustle, but
Right.
if you're like comparing someone who feels like entitled or who feels comfortable where they are because this is my home and I've always lived here and you know what I mean, this is my land, whatever I want can come to me, that kind of, if they have that feeling because of where they are. But if you move to another place, there's already a sense of, okay, so this is not my land. I'm in someone else's, and so I need to work harder to sort of make it, let's say. And then I think there's an additional thing of like being a Black American. Perhaps, maybe. I'm not one, but like from the people I know, the impression I get is like, as a Black American, you're already, or a Black person maybe who lives in a country where Blackness is not dominant. You're already used to working harder than others. And so, and then on top of that, you move somewhere else. And it's like, I think that forces you to hustle harder because you have to. Whereas if you don't have to, then it's you know what I mean? Then it's down to like personality type and
no, for sure. It is interesting like that you say that. It's kind of like, you know, it's almost, I guess maybe you're not speaking about like what you said about like a Black American and then being in a places where, you know, it's not predominantly Black. You're like, you know, you're born, when you're born in the States and as an African American, as a black person, you know, at a certain age, you just kind of realize like you just automatically like reprogram to like, okay, like to just go get it and hustle and like work the system and take advantage of opportunities and put your head down and just grind. And you don't think about it. Like, it's just, you know, it's like breathing air, you know?
That was one of the things I actually wanted to bring up. Considering like everyone here. Oh, wait, Carl, are you here? Carl?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, great. I'm not the last person. Good. Thank you, Carl.
Show your face, Carl. Show your face.
Thank you, Carl.
Your face.
Did you do what you had to do, Carl?
I'm actually doing it now.
All right. I'm not going to say nothing. You can tell them when they're done. But this is Carl. Well, yes, this is Carl, another little anime figure here. There he is.
Right.
This is Carl. Carl also has a podcast called Bold Expressions, where he talks even one-on-one on his own interview with different topics, as well as speaking one-on-one and two-on-one with other people regarding their careers, their upbringing, the things that they do, their work, and just experiences. And it makes it to be just a regular conversation and to get to learn about people and their situations and their lives. Thank you, Carl, for being here.
Yeah, I'm so sorry I'm late. It's just,
that's okay.
This morning has been frustrating.
Special. It's been a special morning.
That's it. Good day, bad moments. That's all.
Good day, bad moments. There you go. But that was like when Kenny, when you were talking about, that's one of the things I actually wanted to talk about regarding, because all of us here us have some kind of artistic. We're doing either something very artistic or very much groundbreaking for ourselves. Or doing something we wouldn't normally do. Because I know, Noreen, you are doing something you would not normally do in any other particular situation. And my thoughts were, what do you feel in your background regarding, even if you're talking about your parents or your grandparents or your environment, which are those major influence in your life? Which ones do you feel really kind of guided you to how you are now? Not even how you are now, but in the direction to explore the arts or to work your butt off or to, because it could have went another way. You could have had that drive, pushed upon you, but then went a whole other different direction and not done the things you do, or it could have been bad, So what do you feel in you gives you this drive to do what you're doing now?
Well, you said it. Those parents, those grandparents. My grandmother used to push in my head, if you're going to be the toilet cleaner, be the best damn toilet cleaner in the world. Right? That they would tell it, and they would drive that in you from the time you literally popped out to, and you just remember it. Keep remembering it. It doesn't go away. To this day, I sit and sometimes I feel like she jumps in me and I start talking that way again. Those parents, those grandparents, those elders that we walked around, even in the church, they encouraged us. They gave us that get up and go, I guess. And so that's been it for me.
DJ, Andrew, since you are the quietest ones here so far.
I'm not quiet. I'm just on mute. Go ahead.
I feel like I just got here and I've already probably spoken more than DJ Squid has.
Carl, you know me.
Getting there. So, Carl, how do you feel?
Could you restate the question? I was listening to her. I just want to make sure that I answered the question correctly, because I have a tendency to go on tangents.
Well, go ahead, and I can't. What in it? I mean, we're talking about all these different our drives and what has driven us to where we are now and who we are now. I want to know what force, when you were younger, do you feel was your environment? Do you feel it was your relatives, your parents, your grandparents? What parts of those do you feel has driven you to the person that you have become now? Which
that
one
is
of those are, more heavier influence? Friends, I mean.
For who I am now, for the thing that drives me for who I am now probably has a lot to do with my failures, and also probably like family members wanting. I remember at one of my mom's her funeral. What did it say? Paternal grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
I know they have different words for the mother and the father grandmother.
If it's your mom's mom, it's your maternal grandmother.
Maternal. Thank you. I knew you would know. My maternal grandmother, Dorothy Brown. I remember one thing I said to her was about remembering everything that she taught us, and to make sure that we pay it forward with our children. Because there's at least been, I want to say, 2 generations. No, probably just at least 1 or 2 generations since she's passed. But it is that, and wanting to make sure that I am in some way making my grandmothers and my father, who has also passed, make them proud, and to try to do something that can be, I don't want to say worth talking about, but just something worth remembering. It's like, your dad did this, and so it was like, if someone was to tell my son about it, because I'm no longer here, it's like, hey, your dad did this, he strove to do this. It wasn't the top in the world, but he did it to the best of his ability. I love the way Miss Holly said it. That is something that I pick up on a lot for when I talk about people's work ethic. My thing is always like, I used to work at fast food, and so anytime we go through the drive-through, I have the issue. I'm like, if me myself as the customer, if I'm the only person that between a transaction from paying and getting my food, if I'm the only person to have said, thank you, have a good day, then there's
Oh, Carl, you muted.
Carl, you're muted.
I'm not getting
Oh, there you are.
yeah, sorry, I'm not getting paid to do this. And if you're one of those people that say I have to get paid X, Y, and Z to do the bare minimum, then you just don't have a drive, that type of drive in general. It's like one of those type of bare minimum things. It's like whatever you're doing, you should want to do it to the best of your ability. Like whatever you're doing, whatever just to is because sometimes it's not enough just to show up and say I was here. It's like, yeah, and everybody has their off moments, and everybody have the time to where they kind of feel burnt out. But to want to make sure that whatever wherever I did, people didn't say, "Oh, he was just bad at it," or he was, It's like, no, he was there. He was a superstar. He did his best. He was good. He did something. Something worth remembering, something worth talking about, and just something that want to be proud of. It's like I know a lot of people, whenever I introduce my podcast to people, they ask, well, which one would you recommend? And I sometimes it's hard to think about it. It's like, because there are those that aren't as good as others, but I'm still happy and proud that I did them. It's like and I have something. It's like, oh, but this one is good, this one is good, and try to, it's like, I'm proud of this, to do something that you can look back on and say, I'm proud to have done that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how many people can actually stand back and say, I am proud of the work I did on this. And that's, and I want to say it's subjective, but it can be for anything. It's like, there's people who have made bad movies, but they're still proud of the work that they may have done on that movie. It's like the movie may not have done good, but they were good in it. So I try to have that type of mindset with it, to just keep pushing to be something that, and at this moment I'm just speaking specifically about my podcast, but it's like, even if I show it to somebody and it's not their thing, that they can at least say, it's not my thing, but at least you did good in it. At least you brought an energy to it. You made your guests feel comfortable. I could relate in some part to it, that type of thing. So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. No, but I think, yeah. I mean, I actually, what I thought about was that each time any of us mentioned any of our grandparents, we used their full name.
Because you have to.
Everyone used their, huh? Yeah, it's like, yeah, my grandma, Dorothy, blah, blah, and it's like, everybody we do that. We give them their name. Like, yeah, my grandma, Irene Buckner, she,
all I had to fight for was my name, and you're going to use it.
Yeah, kinda. I mean, I think about that even when I was younger, and even now. I think, I mean, I think about, I've been thinking about that a lot, and I think it's the same thing. You have that, you get that push from your parents, and I mean, I can honestly say I did not have that drive. I can absorb a lot of stuff, but I think, and everyone says, oh, because you were the youngest, they didn't have enough time for you. And I'm like, no, they had time. They had all the time in the world. It just didn't go in that easy, and it had, but I think a lot of it, even though we had the push, and, you got to be better, and you got to be this, and you got to be that, and you got to be the other. I'm sure in us there was some kind of resistance. But I mean, for me, yeah, it's not that I had a resistance. It was just like, it was more like you're young, so you have all those doubts, even as a teenager, you have all those doubts of what you can do. And then as a young adult, you still have other doubts of what you can accomplish, even though, in your mind, people, you hear those expressions as you get older, fake it till you make it, and I was like, well, how do you fake it? How do you fake this until you make it? And if I fake it, what if I do something wrong and I can't explain my fakeness? It's all those things that you have to battle with as you're becoming. I think as you're becoming yourself, as you get to your 20s and then through your 30s and through your 40s and so on. But yeah, it is true. And I think a lot of mine also was more so even environment with friends. I think because I do not have a large family, a lot of my influence came from my friends, who fortunately were, I found out later on, weren't exactly the most straight up kind of people, but they were encouraging in their own way as friends. I mean, and they were never the type to pull you down. It was always a point of support all the way. I mean, up until now, I mean, most of these people, like Noreen and tons of other people I've known since childhood, we're still connected now as adults. So that, I think that hidden wall of support that sometimes you're not aware of, that's still there for you, as you get older, is also a big thing. And I think that keeps you going as well, even though it's sometimes kind of invisible. I think in little ways it kind of keeps you going to do the things that you need to do. And I think after a certain age, you just like, you're like, you know what, I need to do this, because if I don't, I'll never know if I could have accomplished it or not, And, like Kenny and I would have never done that, Kenny. I'm telling you that now. I'd still have the truck. I mean, at maybe one store. It's truck in the store. 3? You're the man. You're the man.
No, but I just wanted to say one thing, like just to kind of piggyback, like what Carl said is like, yeah, like doesn't matter what you're doing. Like I always heard, like my dad always used to say, how you do anything is how you do everything. So he would say that a lot. Whenever I was cleaning my room, and you half-assed it. Like even though you're just cleaning the room, if you half-ass it, you're gonna half-ass other things. And this is something that stuck with me. And another thing was like maybe you can't, like life has ups and downs, and sometimes you're up and sometimes you're down, sometimes you're in the middle, sometimes you're upside down. But like the one thing that you can always control, no matter what your situation is your attitude. And even when you don't want to have a good attitude, but like if you can go into most situations with a positive attitude, like that sets, at least for me, like it helps me deal with a lot, and especially during like the down times, when I've had jobs that I didn't want to do, or things that I didn't want to do, or people I didn't want to deal with. It's like, okay, I can control my attitude at least, and I can go in this thing as positive as I could be. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Some of us have to be positive.
I relate to what you just said about the only thing you can control is yourself, right? Like the only thing you have full control over is your attitude, your behavior, because part of it is your attitude and part of it is what you actually do, right? For me, what I learned a lot from my parents is discipline, I guess, even when like you've committed to doing a thing and that thing is no longer fun, or it's no longer bringing what you thought it would bring, or it never did. You expected something and you didn't get what you expected, but you committed to it. And one of the lessons my dad taught me was, this is a very, I don't know, it feels small, but it's not really, because he's like, try not to work any job for less than a year, unless it's a contract that's less than a year. But like, if you get a job, try to stick it out for at least a year, 4 full seasons to see what the whole thing is like. 2, if you can, to see, now that you know what you're doing, do it again and see what it's like, just because you don't really know what it's going to be like, but also the discipline of sticking something out because you committed to doing it is something that it has served me well, because I'm the kind of person who, so I don't like being told what to do, which makes it difficult to be an employee. But I don't like being told what to do, but I was a pretty obedient kid, but only if the instructions made sense. So if you told me something and it made sense to me, I would do it. I wouldn't really argue with you. But if you say, do this thing, and in my however old brain, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense because you just said to do that other thing, or this seems faster or whatever. I would question. And so that made it difficult for me in certain situations, certain jobs, but I would stick it out because over time I learned a lot about myself by sticking it out, by committing to do a thing past the point where it was exciting or new or fun, you know? So that discipline is something that I learned, but I had to unlearn a lot too, because the idea of like always be the best or always be your best can easily be translated in a child's mind to always be the best. And learning as an adult that your best is not going to be the same every day, and that's okay. Some days are like Kenny said, some days are down, some days are up. And if you're on a down day, your best may not be as good as a day where you're fully rested and in a great mood and things like that. And let that be okay. For me, taking breaks was really hard. Resting, asking for help is something that no one ever told me to ask for help, but no one ever told me not to, but it never occurred to me to ask for help when I couldn't do a thing, because I was always just taught to try, just try, do your best, try. And it just never occurred to me to say, I can't do this. Can someone help me? And I had to unlearn not asking for help as an adult. So a lot of who I am today is because of things I was taught and then other things that I unlearned. There's a saying that most of us know, which is anything that's worth doing is worth doing well. And I was like a gifted student and I was like the smart one. And, you know, I grew up with that kind of image of myself, like I'm smart. And that smartness was wrapped up in my identity, and like getting really good grades was wrapped up in my identity. And if I didn't get a good grade, that somehow was a failing on me as a human being, which is not the case. Like a grade is a grade. But I recently heard a phrase that said anything that's worth doing, I say recently, it was a few years ago, anything that's worth doing is worth doing poorly. And as someone who is a perfectionist and who has anxiety, who lives with anxiety, that has helped me a lot. So someone who is not an achiever, someone who doesn't normally hustle, maybe this expression doesn't help them so much. Maybe they need the other one. But for someone who is like, for me, I'm like, if I'm not going to do it perfectly, then I'm just not going to do it, because I don't want to do it badly. I don't want to fail. But anything that's worth doing is worth doing poorly basically means if it's worth doing, then any amount is better than nothing. So a small example is like brushing your teeth. I don't know. You're supposed to brush your teeth for 2 minutes, but you're really tired one night. It's bedtime, and you can either not brush your teeth at all because you know you don't want to do 2 minutes, so you just don't do it. Or you can brush your teeth for 1 minute, which is better than not brushing your, I mean, come on, it's like anyone who has to talk to you will know brushing your teeth for a minute is better than you not brushing your teeth at all, right? So that lesson for me has helped me actually achieve more, ironically, because I am not pushing myself to be perfect as much. I'm just pushing myself to do the thing. And done is better than perfect, because when you're always striving, for me anyway, when I'm always striving for perfection, things don't get finished. It's like I'll start and it's at a place where like, if I just record this and edit this and upload this, it will be good. And good is good enough, but it won't be perfect. And so for me, that's how I started my podcast. I wouldn't have started my podcast if I was waiting until I was perfect at doing, like I was already doing voiceover work and voice acting, but I'd never done a podcast, like a proper podcast before. And if I was waiting until I was in like the perfect space to do it, I would never have done it. But I decided anything that's worth doing is worth doing poorly. It's worth trying and failing. And even if I'm not good, I tried and I made an effort and I learned a lot about how not to do it, if anything. And so that's sort of, for me, again, like this doesn't work for everybody, but I'm a perfectionist with anxiety. So I have to basically tell myself to chill out a lot and say, just do it. Maybe no one will listen. Maybe no one will like it. Maybe it will suck. but just do it, because then you can say you've done it and you can learn from what you've done. And maybe next time it will be better. So I would say that for me is like the biggest thing.
That's what I said to myself when I started this. Maybe it'll be
Yeah,
good.
there you go.
Maybe not. We'll see.
I was I really felt Angelique on that. I had that as well. The whole if it's as what was the phrase? If it's anything that's worth doing, it's worth doing poorly.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you're not going to be perfect at it, and whatever you start doing, you're not going to be perfect at it off jump. And I think the thing that got me up from doing podcasts is I listened to a lot of podcasts. So on some level, I was judging myself on how I was compared to all these people who have been doing it for, the main people I listen to, they have been doing this for over 20 years. And I'm up here comparing myself to them.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's not fair to me. That's not fair to myself, which, it's like you can't expect to be on their level and you're just starting this. It's like, well, I need the right type of mic. I need this and I need this. And all these things that I told myself that I needed, I still don't have. And I'm almost 200 episodes in. Mm-hmm. And it's like, so you were holding yourself back from this thing that you wanted to do because you said that it had to be perfect. It had to be this. Well, really, you just had to start doing it. You'll get to that point eventually, but you have to start off, just doing it. I think one thing that on one episode of the show was the Kev and Angel's podcast. Kev had a moment to where he was talking to people about who wanted to start something, mm-hmm. A podcast or a YouTube channel, and he said something to the effect of, or I think it was just a thing he did by himself. You have to be willing to make 100 episodes of something and have nobody watch it. It's like you have to be willing to put it out there and not get the response that you're expecting, to not get the the instant gratification mm-hmm. that we all kind of we crave at times. You have to be willing to sit in that and keep doing it. So that is difficult to say, I want to do this and I want it to be good and I want it to do this. And it's something to say, I want it to be good, but I also want it to be good and nobody listened to it. And that's a hard thing to deal with. It's like, I did some good work. Everything I was on point, I was on message, I did this and I did that, and only 5 people listened to it. And to say that, well, those 5 people are enough. Or even if it was just 2 people or just 1 person, the fact that I did something and it was good and I put it out there, and that has to be enough and to keep you going, because sometimes it does get hard to want to put something out, and it's better, and sometimes it is better to put something out that, as Angelique said, is at least good. And it is a thing of like, well, it's not the greatest thing in the world. It's like, well, nothing is the greatest thing in the world. So kind of having to deal with that, to find out what your comfort level is, because as she said perfectly, your best is not everybody else's best, and what somebody else is comfortable with may not be what you're comfortable with. You may be comfortable with, okay, I did this, there's a little bit of background noise, but this is probably the best I can get it, and that's good enough for me, to where somebody will say, well, because this has it in it, I'm not comfortable with putting it out at all. And I've even, like I said, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and some of the content creators have been like, I don't like the way this recording came out, and so I don't really feel like putting it out at all. But the audience is like, well, we know what your quality normally is, and we'd rather have something from you than not have anything from you at all. So,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
At the beginning of my podcast, Squid was the only person who listened to it.
No, Squid.
Yeah, because I met him on the Discord for Kev on Stage Studios, and I made the mistake. Like I broke the rules, and I didn't realize I had broken the rules, but I was like self-promoting, I guess. I was like, "Hey guys, I have a podcast, first episode, please listen," and it got deleted.
Mhm.
The message got deleted, and but before it got deleted, like 2 or 3 people had responded like, "Oh, that's very cool, I'll check it out." And then it got deleted, and then Squid said, "DM me the link because I'll listen to it." And then for about I don't know, a month or 2 months, I think he was like the only, like I would upload an episode and then I would send it to him. I'd be like, "It's up." And he'd be like, "Okay, I'll listen to it now." And so I had one listener, and that was honestly enough for me to keep going. So thank you, Squid. I don't know if I ever told you thank you for
You're
that.
welcome. I told you it's a good podcast.
You were right. It's a good podcast.
It is a good podcast.
And I'm happy with it. Even if it wasn't a good podcast, I'm happy with it. You know what I mean? Like I've been an ESL teacher for 9 years. I love learning languages, and I still do it today. So it's something that I love doing. Yeah. So anyway, just that, like that small amount, like now I have 30, I think, listeners per episode, which is for some people nothing, right? Like if you're a Kev on Stage, but I'm not a Kev on Stage. I haven't been doing this for the years that he's been doing this. So but 30 is more, it's 30 times more than 1. And so I'm like, hey, I'm doing all right, doing okay. Like, and just being okay with that. Like, I think I took a break recently because I forgot why I was doing the podcast. And I forgot that I was doing it because I enjoy it, and I was doing it because I wanted to. And I knew at the beginning that maybe people wouldn't listen. It's pretty niche, you know what I mean? Like, it's not pop culture, it's not music, which everyone can relate to. It's language learning, and it's like where words come from and grammar and stuff like that, and that's not everyone's bag. So I always knew that it was gonna have a smaller audience than something that was about like entertainment news or something, and I was okay with that when I started. And somewhere along the way I wasn't, and burnt out because I think I was holding myself to unrealistic expectations, which is another thing, unrealistic expectations. So yeah, realizing that, oh yeah, remember you did this because it was fun and you wanted to, and it brought you joy. let's go back there to where you were there, because that was a good time. This place where you're at now, it's not a good time. So yeah.
No, that I can understand as well. I mean, I haven't been in this as long as either one of you, any of you, and I think I started it. I think I started it when right at the point where Sweden was having like a secondary tighter restriction, so it was even less people that you can go out. It was like 8 people, so we couldn't perform, not even for 50 people anymore. So all that kind of activity was shut down. No one can do anything, and I thought about it more so when because coming off to here's with Zooming with the homies, and I was like, this should be good in a different way because of the fact of learning about meeting other people, because when you're confined, you're in your bubble, you're literally in your bubble, you don't realize how small that bubble is until you're in it, and you're seeing the same persons or people, or your contact on Facebooks are the same, your contacts on your Instagram are the same, and after a while I was like, my thing was, I miss my friends in the States. I miss my friends even outside of Stockholm and in the north and south, and I need and just people in general, and I wanted to see those other people. And so when I had that first episode, it was mostly a lot of the comedians, because I had been talking to them most, because a lot of them were like, yeah, we can't perform, it's really bad. And so they were the first ones I had on. And then after that, it was a big snowball because it was, the presidential election, insurrections. It was like So at that point, it was almost like one every week because there was always something going on. And then even inside me, I realized, this is going to be every other week. Just right now, it's cool, but it has to be every other week. I have to make it every other week. And I realized after I started making every other week, I kind of like, oh, I can't wait to talk to other people. I can't wait to see other people and talk with them about, even if it's the same topic, you've talked to people on Facebook, it's a whole different story when you're talking to people from all over the world, from other places, instead of reading it in the paper or hearing it on the news or seeing it on your news feed, you're actually getting those words from someone from that place, or just outside, just having that energy from outside of your own bubble, way outside your own bubble, like with the fact that all of us are here. And, it's like, Canada, the States, and here. That is a huge expansion. And considering the fact that, who have I not? I've never met DJ. I've never met Angelique. I've never met Carl. We all met on a Discord and, just from chatting and talking and connecting in that particular way and became friends, and then in turn, meeting other people, you guys meeting other people and meeting each other, even Kenny and Andy, who I know have probably never met each other. And we're here, aside from Andy being in Uppsala, we're here, right here in Sweden, and not meeting people that, like, wow, that kind of thing. So for me, that was the biggest thing, just to have that connection and the communication with other people that I wouldn't normally have the communication with, and having fun, having a conversation, and having other people be a part of that, so that was mainly my thing. And when I missed a week when I was ill, I really missed that week because I was like, okay, I can't do it. I really can't. And so the anticipation of that following week to see everybody again was really high. So I was really glad to get back to it again. So I think it is like, more so for yourself and for your soul, and secondarily for everyone else that's going to be watching you and subscribing to you. That's the bonus that other people are going to be interested in listening. And because I know even with Andy, with his music, that's his soul. He loves it. He dives into it. He gets buried in it. And then he exposes it and doesn't realize the impact he has, because all he's thinking is, this is something that I want to, this is mine. This is a part of my soul. This is what I want to put out, and the same with DJ. Well, how you say when you DJ, you go for the soul. This is stuff that you want, that you go for the soul, as well as with Maureen, as well as with Kenny. You wanted a real burrito, and even with Carl, just doing that. And like you say, I remember when Kevin said that, you have to be willing to do at least 100 episodes. And so I literally thought about that when I started this. I have to be willing to do at least 100. I'm like, all right, no problem. I can suffice that. That is cool. I mean, those are big steps that we have all taken at this particular point in this lovely COVID time. How is everybody doing, by the way? It has been 14 months. 14.
It's been good to me. I don't know what's going on with y'all, but COVID has been pretty nice to me.
What does that mean?
Look, I get a whole lot of
what's
things
that
done. Musically, I'm getting a whole lot of things done.
Okay.
So I don't have to go out to do anything. I can do everything from home. I even started producing music. So yeah, I got 2 EPs out on Spotify. So melodies.
Well, you need to send
I've
them
heard
links,
one of
bro.
them.
So the COVID's enabled you to focus more and give you a bit more time. I got you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, sorry about all the other things that happened.
Yeah, obviously, but yeah.
But when I'm saying that, it's giving me time and energy to do things from home.
You don't have to deal with the distractions of the world.
Yeah.
Another row with that.
Point.
Mm-hmm.
I still want to go outside.
Outside? What's that?
No.
What's that? Outside?
Anymore. I can watch a movie from home now. I don't need this.
Oh no. Specifically, no. I can watch a movie at home. I ain't got no problem with that at all.
They still got drive-thrus open.
I can watch outside from inside.
There you go. Watch outside, inside.
I mean, but what do you guys think? Like, I think people go crazy when we can actually like go out and travel. Like,
I think it's gonna be a sensory overload.
Right?
Exactly.
People gonna be showing their ass. That's
right. Well, people are talking about like the Roaring 20s, and if you think about the Roaring 20s, that was after the 1918 global pandemic, right? So it's like as much fun as everyone was having then, I guess. Maybe that's what'll happen.
They get about to get buck wild.
Oh my goodness, it's gonna be crazy.
I think here, especially because all I know from here is that the weekends are made for bars. Yeah. And like and if it's pay weekend,
forget about it.
Yeah, exactly. And the bars in like it's like the alcohol stops at like at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And so most of the restaurants, most of the restaurants and bars are closed by 8.
Oh, you mean now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh. I thought that was like the norm.
No. The norm, depending on the bar, it can be 1 o'clock. I think I only know one bar that's open till 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
But most of them are 1 o'clock. So no alcohol.
Yeah, here
after
I think
8
last
o'clock.
call is usually somewhere around 1:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 after restaurants, everything 8:30 shut, and then there's nothing out there for you.
Where are you at, Angelique? I'm sorry.
I'm in Canada, Toronto.
Oh, in Canada. Okay, where in Canada?
Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's nothing, and for me it was more so point of like performing. I'm so used to it's not like I'm a social butterfly, but just I like to watch the socialness. I don't have to be in it, but for me sometimes, let me go out to town. I can go out to town and just like semi people watch, and just take a walk and then come home, that kind of thing. But because it's, you can't really do that even now, it's like, okay, I'm gonna stay home, open my window, close my and that performing is what I miss the most. Like my whole band. I mean, even when we're sitting together, we were recording and we were like, why don't we just have people here? We're like, no, we ain't having all them people down here. I mean, it's a big studio, but we're not. I ain't trying to. Nope. Everybody getting a shot?
I was just about to ask that. I swear I was just thinking that. I'm gonna let everybody else answer before I say anything.
Andy, you say something.
Yeah, well, I mean, funny enough, just about half an hour ago, I had my COVID test come back and it was negative.
Yay!
Well, because my daughter's got COVID. She got it Monday. So
sorry to hear that.
Literally just said no. So I will be getting mine. It's the mental part of it I want to just get over. I want to be able to just relax for a moment and just be able to just walk outside and not worry about the distance someone is at and go, it's okay, and just get over that. It's been a massive block, but I have been so aware of people's distances and of COVID, and not that I'm in a vulnerable group, but I don't know. So I don't want to take the chance, and I'm trying not to overthink it. I've been trying to be relaxed about it. I've been enjoying my time indoors because I'm indoors anyway. I work from home. I love my space. I've created a space. I have a balcony bar. I have everything I could want at home. I've created a space that has different places of different feelings, so I could feel at home. At the same time, it would be nice to go out with other people, to see Germaine on stage, to see things happening. But on my side, the thing I found with Sweden is it's not inspirational. It's when I'm out, I don't find the bars inspirational places. I don't find the architecture inspirational. I don't find it's nice. It's comfortable. It's wonderful for cycling. It's cool, but it's not inspiring. I don't go, even the fashion sense, the colors, the creativity in people themselves isn't where you go, oh, this is what I've missed. This is what I've missed. people on the corner playing music, people that's not here. So it's kind of like, even when I see Sweden didn't really have a lockdown either, so it's kind of felt the same in general. It's the people's attitude has kind of been the same. Masks weren't enforced by any means. It's been much of the same, and then you kind of go, well, if this carries on, I'm not really missing anything. Which is kind of why, like, I built my own oasis within the music, within the scene, with sort of where you go, well, if you like this, maybe you'll come. And what I've found is by doing the music, I've connected with wonderful human beings who also love this sort of thing. And I don't know if it's the same for you, Kenny, and the burrito scene. When you come to Sweden, you almost immediately see like possibilities. You immediately see, particularly in service, you particularly see that, no, they're really bad at this. You see it like in a second. You just go like,
for sure.
Yep.
Damn, they don't know what they're doing. It's the same with music, everything. You kind of go, that could be better. That could be better.
Yeah.
That could be better. Why aren't they changing things? So
for sure.
It's
comfortable. You said it before.
So it's you can live, as you say, the Swedes can have a very, very comfortable life, and it is very calm. But if you want a little bit of spice, a little bit of excitement, a little bit of intrigue, food from other places, sounds that excite you, and stories with people, then the bars don't connect. You don't connect with strangers in the bars. Not like when I was in London. I've met my partner in a bar in London. I mean, it's like you talk to strangers, you share drinks, but that's not here. Yeah. They don't do that here. They're in groups of people, and they will have a very good time together, but they're not saying, hey, do you want to come and join us? That's not here. So
how do people meet people there?
Good question.
When they're drunk.
Yeah.
When they're drunk, the inhibitions are gone. It's like, I won't talk to you. First of all, if you had to drink in order to get the courage to say hello, there are more issues than you than can possibly be imagined.
Yeah.
Well, there's that saying, the comfort zone's a nice place, but nothing grows there. That's what it sounds like to me, the situation. Yeah. It's very comfortable, and because they're comfortable, why change it? I'm comfortable.
Exactly it. I do wonder what's going to be like for people who have been indoors. It might increase their social abilities. That's what I'm worried about.
You think so, huh?
I hope that they are more like, hey, you know.
Yeah. I think it might, because I'm an introverted type of person, and I'm not likely to like go out and do stuff. But after 14 months in lockdown, I'm like, can I go out somewhere, please, and like meet strangers? That would be really great. I just want to not be here. So I think so. It's possible.
I hope so. I really do.
And especially, I mean, for me, like Candy said, and going out is beforehand. It wasn't for me. Like I said, I wasn't in the social thing of wanting, but I like to watch the socialness. And a lot of times my socialness came from people that I was already familiar with, and getting that in. Like if I went to Stumpen, which is a jazz club here, and I have friends who perform there. So on Fridays after work, I would like get in my booth and I'm sitting, because that was my energy. That was my excitement, watching the guys play. And then after we're coming down and just cutting it. And it would just be so much fun, laughing and instead of people, if we were, coming to join, they just stare from afar, with their drink and, kind of thing. And even if you're like, oh, come, and they like look around like, oh, so.
It's the strangest thing here. Like when I moved here, one, I'm not, I'm an extrovert, and I'm from the South. I'm from the deep South. So like everybody's super friendly. You speak to people, you say, hey, it's just, you just grow up that way. Like, I get, if I didn't speak, say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, I got popped in the mouth like real quick. And yeah, it's good or bad. But I remember like moving here, we live in a building, and there's maybe, 10 apartments in it. And you get in the elevator, you standing right next to somebody, they won't say shit to you. You know, they want nothing. And then you see people like at the park, they see people block away, and these people like will go out of their way to like look the other way or go a different route. You know, and I'm like, I know this motherfucker just saw me.
Yeah.
You know, but and, I mean, and that's what at first like I had a
you
real.
saw me. I know you saw me.
Seriously, and at first I had a real. I would tell my mom like what's wrong with these people? Like, are they racist? Like, what's the deal? She's like, no, it's just Sweden. And now like I'm used to it. It's like, okay, it's just this is their culture. You know, like they're not necessarily being rude. It's just the way they are. But I don't know.
Yeah, just because it is doesn't mean it's like right. You know, like peeking out the peephole to see if someone's in the hallway before you go out.
Yes. Yeah. It's crazy, right?
Wait, what?
They peep out the peephole to see if someone's in the hallway before they go out the door, so they don't have to.
And if someone's in the hallway, they won't go out.
They'll wait.
Just so as to not have to speak to.
Yes.
That's intense.
It is crazy. It's wild.
Yeah. I mean, but like I don't know. I don't know if it's like the areas or where I am. It's more ethnic.
Yeah.
So the percentage of Swedes is not the majority. It's the minority. So there are a lot of ethnic backgrounds here. So for the years that I have been here, I have always known my neighbors. No matter how loud they got, I knew them. You know, and so if we see each other in the hall, we're chatting, we're talking. This one's got kids. How many kids? 50. You know, but you know, and my neighbor actually who just left next door, she introduced me to the people who got her apartment. You know, it's like, oh, these are the ones who are in here now. She's real cool. They're real cool. And so we meet. So I know that happens in this hallway. Yeah. Whatever happens on the other floors, I haven't the foggiest idea.
It's an interesting thing because I grew up in Jamaica, as I said before, and we lived in a house and we knew our next door neighbors. We knew the people who lived across the street from us. Not that we talked to them all the time, but I got the sense that it wasn't just a community thing. It was like a sense of security, safety. Like if you know who's around you, then you know what boundaries you need to put up or not. You know who you can call for help or whatever. Like as it happened, on this side was weird. It was like a school, like a daycare in the front, and then some people lived in the back, and we knew them both. And on the other side was a squatter. The property had been unmanaged for years. I mean, like the 15 years that I lived in that house, I think she lived there the entire 15 years. And it was just it was never up. It was never kept up. And so during hurricane season, my parents were always prepared to help her, like put her in our house if it came to it, because where she lived was like the house was so run down that, like, you know, if a hurricane did hit really hard, it would destroy the house. And so, but if they didn't know her, it would have been like, you know, and if she came to us for help, it would feel like, who are you? Why are you asking? But because we made a point, or my parents, I should say, made a point of knowing who was around. Okay, there's a school over there, there's a daycare, there's this person, there's that person. We've asked them for help, they've asked us for help. And I think that community is one thing, like the social aspect is one thing, but like safety and security is really important, I think. But the saying hello was also it's a big thing in Jamaica. You don't walk into a room with other people in it and not say good morning or good afternoon or hello. You can't do that. That's so rude. But here, I mean, in Canada, some parts of Canada are also like that. Like everyone says hi, you get into the elevator with someone, you just strike up a random conversation, usually about the weather or whatever, like the elevator itself. Oh, it stinks in here. Oh yeah, I know. I don't know what's up with that. Like whatever. But in Toronto, no. People will not say hello to you. I mean, if you say hi, they may say hi back. They may say hi back. But yeah, it was weird for me coming to Toronto and walking into a room and saying good morning and not getting a response. And that being normal. Was really
is it a big, is Toronto like, is it a big, how many million live in Toronto?
How many million?
What's do you know the
I'll tell you in
population?
a second.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
know
'cause
that I know that 14 million people live in Ontario. The province of Ontario is
Okay.
about 14 million.
Okay.
And Toronto is a big chunk of that.
I know when I was home, like before I
6
moved out of New
million, just
York.
over 6
6 million. Okay, so that's a big city. Okay.
Before I moved out to New York, everybody knew. I mean, on my block, there was no place on my block you can go without some parent knowing every child who ran up and down that block.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that was it. That was like every child knew, and you knew you weren't gonna go off the block, and all the kids hung out on the block, and you knew where everybody was. Every parent knew and that was it. You know, and like you speak all the time. Here,
Just acknowledge that there's another human being in the room.
I have to
not
say,
so much.
the funny thing that I realized how, because we all create our own for the past 10, 15 years, we've created our own bubbles like we are now, where we connect with the people we want to connect with and have great conversations in the evening without going out. And you don't kind of need your neighbors to satisfy anymore so much. But the great toilet paper war of 2020 was the sign of when you go, wait a minute, are we thinking of each other anymore? Because suddenly it became very, very selfish. Very, very selfish. It all became, I don't care about anyone else apart from me. It was such a clear sign that everyone was out for themselves.
Yeah.
And then when I was like, if we run out of paper, who would we ask? Which one of our neighbors would we turn to? Suddenly it's like, wait, we haven't been talking to each other to build up friendships, to say, well, do you need any paper? I'll get you some, because we're all so insular. We'll become we take care of ourselves, and I look after my friends and them. So I don't really need to know her across the road
It's a vicious cycle. I feel like
Yeah.
it's the separation then builds fear that there won't be enough for me. And so then because I'm afraid that I won't have enough, I separate myself from you even more and I hoard. And then now there's a resentment because some people are hoarding and some people don't have enough. And so then that separates us even further. And then there's more fear. You know what I mean? Like it feels like just a downward perpetuating thing.
Yeah.
Where it just
I mean,
keeps
and I
getting
think
worse.
and that's been happening, I think, even for years. I think when the song that I had written, Universe, I had so many influences. And I remember one person that I was with, she was telling me how she had went down to the car park to get in her car because she was in a hurry. And it was her and she saw two other men. And one guy was on his phone. I think they both were on their phone or whatever. She noticed that. Her heel got caught, I guess, in one of the cracks. She said, Germaine, I went flying, bag, all, phew, across. She said she went flying across the cement. She looked up. Neither of these men helped her. They didn't even look up from their phone.
Wow.
Her bag, everything just, phew. And she said, Germaine, you know me. She allowed speed. She's like, she telling me the story. And the fact that it had happened months beforehand, she was still up. She started to cry.
Yeah, I'd be
telling
upset
me
too.
the story. She said they didn't even move. And then she yelled to get one of theirs attention. The guy who was on the phone, he looked up and he looked and saw her, didn't even make a motion toward her. She got up and she had hurt her. She literally hurt herself. The heel that got caught, that ankle got, I think she messed up her ankle. Because by the time I saw her, she was in a cast.
Oh my God.
She was in a cast. She was in a cast from her knee down. And
I don't understand that.
And
like
she said
the initial thing, I wonder if they were trying to not make her feel embarrassed. Like, oh, she fell. Let's act like we didn't see, you know what I mean? So that she doesn't feel embarrassed that people saw her fall. But if she yells out and says, help me, or like you can see that she's hurt and you look at her and you still just.
Now, I can relate to it because now she was in a car park, very empty. I was coming from Central Island. I was in a hurry. They were doing construction at this time because there was like on this street, because there was a hotel being built. So the sidewalk was crooked. It was gates and cement. Things were uneven. I took a misstep. I guess the sidewalk was higher than I thought it was. So when my foot came down, it kind of came down in a stirp. And because I was already in motion to get where I was going to go, it was a cartoon. I can literally picture it was a cartoon. And the last things I saw, there was a woman come toward me with a baby carriage, and it was Central Station. People are all over the place. I hit that ground, boom, and I skid. I was like, whoa. And I was like, I was down for a moment. And I thought to myself, there are people walking by, not even stopping. No one stopped to ask, just nothing. And thing is, I was there because it stung. And so I was like, okay, now I have to get up. And then I heard it was a man, and he was like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. And he helped me up. He helped me brush off. He's like, is there anywhere you need to go? And he's sure you're okay? And I'm like, I'm good. And I thanked him, and he's like, okay. And he watched, because I turned but the bad part about it, I never saw his face. For some reason, I never saw his face. But he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. And I got up. And in my recollection, I thought to myself, I saw a woman with a baby carriage coming toward me. She rolled right on by.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, damn, do I have to explode? This is like people just not paying attention to a darn thing. And like Andy said, the issue is like everyone is just isolating themselves. If it ain't about them, they ain't gonna have nothing to do with it. And that's, I think, and that ultimately is everyone's main issue. They all trying to be in their own little bubble and just trying to be here with their phone and their attitudes. And
what concerns me with my fear is, I know when we go out, that self-gratification moment where we go, I'm going to do everything I've wanted to do. This is my time. I'm going on my holiday. I'm getting that car I wanted. I'm getting there. No one's going to stop me, because now it's me. And that's, I fear will be, for a lot of people, have already started that attitude. I saw as soon as the shop started opening, it's like, I'm getting all the things I ever wanted. I'm getting, it's me. Get out of my way. This is me. It's my time now. They took my rights, my privilege. It's me. We've seemed to become a society of a lot of about me, which is interesting, because we're all of us here, we're all givers. All of us are doing stuff about giving to make other people's lives better. We all try to give our time. We give our music. We give our conversation. We create food, we create spaces, we create things for other people. We're all about giving. We want to teach, learn, help, join people together. So it's natural in a way that we would be drawn together. The universe works in strange ways. But I do hope I'm wrong. I really do hope people are much more open, but it doesn't seem to be that they are going to be saying, hey, how you doing? You okay? Or helping the stranger. And men, there's something I'd like to talk about at another point, if I'm ever invited back, but what it means to be a man, a gentleman, when a woman falls over, does that even exist anymore? Because not say I've taught my son, but being a gentleman was a big thing. It was always been a big thing. And that wasn't, you guys were talking about what your grandparents, but I knew my grandparents, but they never spoke to us. So I don't even know them by first names and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, well, they didn't really speak to us, or my parents never really gave us roles. They were just there in a really good way, but they never gave us those wonderful quotes that you go, oh, my mum always said that, there wasn't that sort of life quotations to carry on in life. I'm going to do what my mum said because she always said you should. That was never the goal. We all built our own work ethic just by watching and learning, and somehow me and my siblings all worked in the same way, and we all givers. My brother's a DJ, he was just doing his show, funny enough, about giving. It's all about giving to us, and I guess my parents are really lovely human beings and are very, very social, and we grew up with house parties. That was a big thing when I was a kid. There was a house party almost every weekend with music and food, and it was just amazing. And that community spirit is I guess, instilled in me and instilled in wanting to be amongst others who also share that. So even in job-wise or work-wise, I wanted to always be part of a giving, and it didn't matter what it was. I think as Carl was saying, is when you sort of say, well, even if it's not the best, it was something you wanted to do. And it was like, well, you know what? As long as you try it, that's okay. Because my parents never put a level on me where you said you had to be the best. They were just like, well, if that's what you want to do. So it was like, well, yeah, do it then. And I've said to my kids, there's no pressure on you to be the best. You don't have to. Just do what you want to and enjoy it and try everything, is what I've said to my kids, is try it. Don't, like I said, look, I learned the guitar, I've just past 50. I'm now learning guitar because there's never, don't say no, don't say you never will. So I don't know, I'm going on a little bit, but no, I do hope we are better human beings at the end of all of this. I really do. I really, really do. We could all
So
use
Kenny,
it.
you getting your shot?
Yes.
Me. Oh yeah, back to that. I will eventually, probably. I'm not in a rush to get it.
Eventually, probably.
Right.
I know. Eventually,
What's the
probably.
hesitancy?
I'm not in a rush to get it. You know, it's for me. It's, I don't know. It's just, I just keep thinking back to, like, you know, you're watching TV back in the day, and then commercial comes on. Did you take blah 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 between 1990
You
and
may be entitled.
1993?
Right.
You may be entitled to blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying?
Uh,
And I know one of those companies that made that was Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson. Somebody, you know. So I'm just like, and I'm definitely not an anti-vaxxer. Like, my dad took my 6-month-old daughter. You know, she got vaccinated like a couple of weeks ago. You know, but this one's just eventually probably. But I'm not mad that I'm not in like the first group that's getting it. That I'm not in that first group that's getting it in Sweden. You know, I don't know. Yeah. Don't judge me, okay? Don't judge me.
You're not being judged.
The next
I
time
believe
you
you.
ask-
Ain't nobody judging you. You get it when you want to. Eventually, probably.
I'm judging.
So see what had happened was I didn't get it.
Yeah, exactly.
What happened?
So I was in the car to go get the shot, but my radiator fell out, and
The job called me. Had to go get a burrito out of an oven. And
my cousin was over there around the way, and yeah, so I just couldn't get it that day.
make another
This squirrel done stole my car.
I got mine already. I got my first shot 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And the interesting thing is most people talk about the side effects being like in the first day or two after. But for me, I had like a sore arm and wild dreams the first night and like the night after. Like the first 2 nights after the shot, I had like weird dreams, and then nothing. And then a week later, I got Moderna, and one of the side effects is like swollen lymph nodes, right? Because it's an immune response to the vaccine. Your lymph nodes are sort of they're all over your body, and if they're fighting an infection, they'll be swollen because that's like they're active. And so one of the common reactions is a swollen lymph node either in your armpit of the arm where you got the shot, in the armpit, or near your collarbone. And luckily I knew that because a week later I had a swollen lymph node in my armpit. And the reason they're like trying to get the word out there is because a lot of people, especially women, are like, is this a lump?
Right.
Because that's one of the places that you're checking when you check for breast cancer, right? And so thankfully I knew about this side effect, because otherwise I would have been freaking out. And then that went away a couple of days later. And then I had another one right here. It's still there. And so other than that, though, it's been, I don't know, normal. But the rollout here of the vaccine has been quite chaotic, and not even, let's say. That's all I'm gonna say. I have my vaccine.
Not even in what? Oh, go ahead. No, sorry about that.
Oh no, I was gonna say this is why I love talking to Angelique, because I did not know that about Moderna
Neither did
because
I.
I got my shot. What time is it? I got my shot 45 minutes ago. That's why I've been on
Hey,
mute. I've been I've been getting my shot. Uh, and so I
Well,
was in the store. I thought it was at the pharmacy, but it was like the pharmacy inside the store. So I like made sure I was on mute so you guys didn't have the little background music playing and all that stuff and people talking and whatnot. But yeah, I did not know that. I will be looking forward to that for the next couple of days. Make sure I
did
don't
you get
have
Moderna?
yeah,
Okay.
to make sure I don't have a hump and I'm looking like Igor or whatever. So
with you guys, you two, just let me know when your superpowers kick in.
hey
Let me know what
man,
you get.
that's what I told my wife. She's like, I hope you don't turn to zombies. I'm like, forget zombies. I want superpowers.
I
Like,
already
forget
had
what
a
you heard.
superpower.
No, I think
I'm trying to fly.
Well, hopefully, when everyone else decides, maybe, probably, kind of, sort of, would be eventually.
I'm the last person in line, so when everybody else get it, that's when I walk up.
All right,
There you
bro.
go. Yeah.
All right, bro. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. All right, I'm gonna probably round up soon, but here's the last thing that I want to ask. Don't worry, no pressure. All right, it's one of those things where you got to put stuff in order. Okay. All right. See, DJ.
Who do I gotta kill this time?
You gotta kill nobody. You gotta kill a cookie. That's right. And here are the cookies: chocolate chip.
I'm in now, killing cookies.
Chocolate chip, oatmeal raisin, peanut butter cornflake, because I heard y'all talking about it, and chocolate chip.
Peanut butter cornflake can go. It's cornflakes. It's not a cookie. It's disrespectful to everything else to even have that in there.
To put cornflakes in a cookie, if you don't stop, get it
I
out.
don't eat
You guys are
cornflakes
so
in a bowl, let
judgmental.
alone on a cookie.
Get it out. Cornflakes.
Imagine feeling that strongly about a cookie.
I know.
Cornflakes is supposed to be nutritious.
How dare you
I mean,
put
the cookie.
cornflakes in my
I don't
cookie?
want nutritional value in my cookie. I want cookie.
Cookie in your cookie.
On that one.
Get that cornflake out of here.
I gotta agree.
God. You giving cornflake? Okay, let me tell you something. Go ahead.
My favorite is oatmeal raisin. I'm one of those people. Like in every show I've ever seen, people talking about cookies.
It like it was confession.
It's I am proud to love oatmeal raisin cookies, okay? The chewy ones. But in every show I've ever seen, they're always like, you know, when you bite into a chocolate chip cookie and it turns out it's oatmeal raisin? Bleh. I'm like, I feel that way about chocolate chip cookies. When I think it's an oatmeal raisin cookie and I bite into it and it's chocolate, I'm like, this is not what I wanted. That's how I feel. And I might be in the minority, and that's
you a
fine.
super villain.
But no, that's
what I said. I already had superpowers before the shot.
I think that's for anything you bite into and you think it's one thing.
That's true.
And it's not. Like when you bite into, like when you get something to drink and you think it's like some juice, or you think it's your cup, and then it's that realization that it's not your cup. I think that's that same thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Noreen.
But if I anyway, Noreen.
So I'm probably in the minority here. I'm not a cookie fan.
Okay.
So you say which one would I get rid of? Which one would I get rid of the most?
Yeah.
Probably the chocolate chip.
Why?
Look at these faces.
Why chocolate chip?
Noreen,
why chocolate chip?
Hold on, Noreen, can I get your location, please?
Why chocolate chip?
I'm thinking the chocolate chip is gonna add even more sweetness.
It's a cookie.
Yeah, but I don't like sweet stuff. That's the thing. Like, so if I had to get rid of something, it would probably be the one with the chocolate chip in it.
What about the chocolate chip? Why not that one? That's like even sweeter.
That too. Both of them, like all of them, are going for me. Quite honestly,
right.
The only one I try is the peanut butter cereal one because I've never had it. So I'd probably just try it.
Oh, my favorite part was when
down in the chair.
When Noreen said I'm not a cookie person. Everyone was silent, everyone was like, okay.
The questions on the
Processing.
faces.
How do I feel about this?
I'm distraught.
Andy, are you a chocolate chip fan?
I'm a chocolate digestive guy.
Oh,
Chocolate
healthy.
digestive is my weakness. I mean, they're banned from the house because if I have a packet of chocolate digestives, they're gone. I just can't stop eating them. I just can't. So yeah, and I don't like when it has. I know chocolate chips. I need it all over, not just sort of now and then. It has to be covered in chocolate and milk, not dark chocolate.
So a chocolate cookie.
Milk. Chocolate
You want the
on
chocolate chip, in other words. That's your move.
I don't put cornflakes in it. Don't mess it up. Just keep it simple. Yes.
Now, see, that's funny. I'll eat the dark chocolate with no sugar in it.
Yeah.
I'll eat the pure. I have the pure dark chocolate here, but it's the sugar.
Yeah.
Like pure dark, like pure, like 100%.
Pure.
Like 75.
Dark bitter
Show you my
chocolate.
hands.
You have 75%.
I got a question. I got a question for Noreen.
Uh-oh.
Do you eat cornflakes?
I do not. I do not eat them.
What kind of cereal do you eat?
I do not.
Okay. I'm going to come back to you. Let me put my hand.
Okay. I'll wait.
Kenny?
Can you repeat the choices again?
Chocolate chip, oatmeal raisin, peanut butter cornflake, or chocolate chip?
Oatmeal raisin definitely got to go.
I'll take his.
Yeah, you got it. Because I'm
no slander against oatmeal raisin cookies.
I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people who that's happened to me quite a bit, where I've bitten into a cookie thinking it was chocolate chip, and it's been oatmeal raisin, and yeah, the rest of my day was just over. But I'm gonna go with the double chocolate chip. That sounds delicious to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You know, I guess I guess most of y'all will have either chocolate chip or oatmeal raisin. I make a killer peanut butter cornflake cookie.
You must have a big stock
it.
of those cookies.
Huh?
I said you must have a big stock of those cookies.
No, actually, people like
she
them.
eats them.
Really?
No, I don't. Well, usually when I make cookies, I give them away. I can't have all those cookies in the house. That is not good.
They do a Mamafuku milk bar does like a similar kind of peanut butter. You know David Chang, you know the guy from Ugly Delicious on Netflix. Yeah, he has this dessert place called the Milk Bar, and they do these crazy desserts with like cereals and whatnots. But they have like a peanut butter cornflake cookie that's supposed to be. People say it's delicious. I never had it, but yeah.
I've got a quick question for DJ Squid. Cornflakes, warm or cold milk?
Cold. Everything. Sure, it was meant to be had with cold milk.
Why was that a question?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what country do they put warm milk on cereal?
I'm on my own.
He's like, never mind.
You're trying to make oatmeal with this? Is this oatmeal that we're trying to do?
That's when you start using the variations of milk.
Oatmeal with cornflakes.
Well, they have a cornflake here that.
But don't they go soggy faster if the milk is warm? Oh, you
like
that?
No, actually depends on there's a cornflake here that I've gotten.
You like that?
It was hard, and I was like had milk in it, and I was like they were still like, and I'm like this milk wasn't doing nothing for them. And they were almost like Frosted Flakes, but not that sweet at all. I put that bowl in the micro, warmed it up. It was good, warm. It was good, warm, like an oatmeal. It was some kind of cornflakes they had here, but it was like they were kind of thick, and they weren't trying to thin out in just regular cold milk in a bowl. Yes, I just warmed it up in the micro. Oh gosh, it was good. I was like, okay.
V just said in the chat that in the UK we sometimes do hot milk, so I guess you're not alone, Andy.
Exactly.
This is a UK thing. That's what it
is. It is very much.
So you mean like on breakfast cereal? Like so you can have like some Fruit Loops and
no,
Fruit Loops.
Yep.
Oh, really? I'm no. Don't listen to Andy.
Germaine's like, no. And he's like, no, yes.
Absolutely.
This is what we do.
Really? So like kids cereals is like the really sugary ones. They just
Kenny cannot compute.
He looks like he's gonna
It's like, no, but wait. Okay, but what about Lucky Charms? Even Frosted Flakes? You can go down the list of this. Do you do it with this one?
Now, Frosted Flakes, I would probably do because of the fact that it's so well. Not actually, Frosted
I
Flakes are
would do it with
really,
Lucky
really
Charms.
too sweet.
I think
And
I would do it with Lucky Charms because they have marshmallows, and I feel like that would be like a nice, like a hot chocolate-esque.
Interesting. I have to try that.
But I don't like
guess.
soggy
Do it.
cereal though.
Well,
Don't
don't ruin cereal for yourself.
I don't know. I don't know.
You have the nice soggy ones at the bottom and the crispy ones on top.
Really? Oh man.
Now we are talking.
Okay, we had a different childhood experience, you know. Keep imagine waking up, you wake up and watch Saturday cartoons and pot of boiling milk and some Frosted Flakes.
It's so funny. I mean, I've got a scar, and you can't see it anymore, but the whole of this arm is scarred because when I was a kid, I pulled down the hot milk from when my mum was cooking it for us breakfast. So yeah, hot milk is
just give me a bowl of grits and I'm good to go.
I have no idea what grits is still to this day.
What?
Neither do I. You're not alone.
I have grits up in the cabinet right now that I like every now and then I have a craving, and it's grits and bacon and eggs.
Oh
You
God!
just like scramble one egg, I fry up some bacon, and sometimes it's cheese grits. Kenny, you know about cheese grits.
Yes, Lord. Yes, please.
And there is no sugar involved.
Did anyone else hear that really loud tone?
Really
Okay,
loud squeak.
it's gone now, but
Yeah.
I was like, what's happening?
I don't
It must have been you then.
Okay. It might have been. I don't know. All right.
It's gone now. It's fine.
We're going to digest our oatmeal raisin cookies.
I'm gonna try it.
The
cereal
warm
is a comfort food. Yeah, because cereal is a comfort food for me, and so I have feelings about it, and like I care. But I have
feelings.
Yeah, like I have feelings about cereal. Like there are certain cereals I just don't bother with because it's not satisfying. But I'm like, I like oatmeal. I like muesli. I like granola.
Do it with muesli. Muesli would be really good with it as well.
Yeah.
Muesli?
Yes.
So I have
granola.
You poor uncultured fool. Don't know what muesli is?
No, because I have cereal and oatmeal. Why would I know what muesli is?
It's like a cross between the two, I think. You should try it. Anyway, so I like muesli, and I have had muesli warm. So
give it a go.
I'll let you know how it goes.
But you guys stick around. People, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been another installment of Zooming in Comfort from all around the world. And yes, we have differences about the warm milk and cereal and oatmeal raisin cookies and peanut butter cornflake cookies, but that's all right. We still love each other. So please check out everybody in the descriptions. I want to personally thank DJ Squid. Check him out on his Twitch. You'll find it in the descriptions. Andy Collins, Scandinavian Soul. All the links are up in the description. He's the co-founder, he's editor, he's the writer. He is the one that finds the music of Scandinavian Soul. Check out all of his websites. Then we have Kenny Jones, Mr. Owner of the Good Gringo. All you Swedes, start heading over to Good Gringo. He's got 3 shops, 3. All of them conveniently located all over Stockholm in the city. So just hop into one of them. There's always a line, so get there early. I know because I have seen the line. Hey, Carl. And please check out Carl. I know you just got here at the end. I'm sorry, Carl, but I'm going to do it anyway. He has his podcast called Bold Expressions. Please check him out. Link is in the description box. And we have the beautiful Angelique. Her with her the Polyglottal Stop, a language learning podcast. Please check her out. Her link is also in the description below. And have I gotten everybody? Did I hit everybody? Noreen.
How you doing?
You can check her out probably almost at least once a month because I always pull her up. I'm like, Noreen, You ready to come up? She's like, yeah, I'm coming. I want to listen and spread some knowledge. And she always does. I always love having Noreen around because it's just a comfort. And she is full of knowledge and a lot of fun. And she's the one who doesn't like sugar in her chocolate. And that's what y'all all have to sit on right now.
I have more questions for Noreen about that.
You will get to ask them in a moment. Everyone, see you in 2 weeks right here on Zoom and in Comfort. It's been a great night. See you soon.